What do you think is a great work? In the language of the world, Vespasian, the Roman emperor, did a great work when he built the great Colosseum of Rome. Shah Jahan did a great work when he built the majestic Taj Mahal for his beloved wife Mumtaz Mahal. Neil Armstrong did a great work when he became the first man to land on the moon in 1969. So in the definition of the world, a great work is any human work that made a great historical impact in the world. But what is a great work in the language of heaven? The answer is found in the story of Nehemiah. The people of Judah were about to complete the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem. What was left was to hang the doors at the gates. And once these were done, the enemies knew that it would be too late. They could not make a frontal assault on the city of Jerusalem because it was under the protection of the king of Persia. So to attack Jerusalem would be an attack on the king himself. So they come up with a new strategy. Sanballat and Geshem called for a meeting with Nehemiah in the plain of Ono, their own territory. But Nehemiah knew their intention, that it was to harm him, to imprison him, or even to assassinate him. So he sent back a message. It's found in Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 3. I am doing a great work so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease while I leave it and go down to you? The enemy sent him the same message 4 times. Each time Nehemiah sent back the same message. I am doing a great work. So the definition of a great work in the language of heaven is God's work. How humble and insignificant it may be, even when the world may not recognize it, it is still a great work. Nehemiah recognized that he was doing a great work when he rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. It was a great work because the name of God's honor was at stake, because his work would contribute to the restoration of the worship of Yahweh, the true God. So finally, Sanballat sends his servant back the 5th time with another message. Now he threatens Nehemiah in this open letter. He says, I know your plans. You want to become the king of Judah. And once the walls are made, you are going to declare yourself the king of Judah and rebel against the king of Persia. So now, come for a meeting. We will compromise. Otherwise, I am going to report your plans to the king of Persia. Oh, but Nehemiah knew what was the intention of Sanballat. And he simply tells him, I know that you have fabricated this lie. You have made up this story. Then he prays to God and continues his work. In fact, he asked God to strengthen his hands. Not willing to give up, Sanballat and this time Tobiah came up with another plot. They sent Shemaiah, a CID, to Nehemiah, and he meets him and tells him, let us meet together inside the temple, because if we do not meet inside the temple, your enemies are ready to kill you. In fact, they will come at night to kill you. So let us close the doors of the temple and have the meeting. Oh, but Nehemiah replied and said, who am I to do that? I will not hide. I will not go into the temple and hide myself. Why did Nehemiah refuse to hide himself and to go inside the temple? First thing, because only the priests were allowed to go inside the inner chamber of the temple. If Nehemiah go inside, he would be dishonoring God. Secondly, if he goes inside and hide himself, it would be an act of cowardice. And the people of Judah would be demoralized to see their leader hiding for fear inside the temple. Amidst all these threats and accusations, the walls of Jerusalem city were finally completed in 52 days, less than 2 months. And when the enemies of Judah heard this news, the Bible says that they were disheartened and declared that it was the work of God. Dear friends, as you do the work of God, you may face oppositions, you may face harassment and difficulties, but please be encouraged because you are doing the great work of God. May we be able to stand up for God and continue the great work that God has given us. God